I'm Mrs. Lattarulo, or Lisa Lattarulo. I am the Student Assistance Counselor at Chatham High School. So the Student Wellness Survey, really the initiative came from my position as a SAC and also a SAC at the middle school, of really wanting to get data on what is going on with our students when it comes to health and wellness. It continuously would come up on these committee meetings that we don't know what's going on with teens. We don't have any data, and it's really hard to design prevention techniques and interventions when you don't really know what data you're working with. I would say the most alarming thing that I found when looking at the data was when it came to depression and when it came to kids that had feelings of suicide, and actually kids that indicated that they had a plan for suicide. I do think it is something that we can't just kind of pass aside. We have to address it and raise some knowledge first. Mm-hmm. You have to raise the awareness before you can really do anything.
Yeah.
And this was the first step in raising that awareness.
Yeah.
This is something that is real for kids that are living in Chatham, mm-hmm. and that really wanting to engage in some dialogue. What do you want to do? How do we want to do this? What do we want to do to help students to ease some of the stress and anxiety, and to also provide more support for them? Mm-hmm. First of all, I think that there's been a lot of conversation, okay? And then what has also happened is that there's been definitely a push within district of this wellness-based perspective and mm-hmm. philosophy. Are we making sure our staff is well? Are we making sure our kids are well? So there has been a wellness committee that was established this year that is a group of staff members across the entire district. Mm-hmm. And that wellness committee has had some input into our professional development for staff, and making sure that our staff is also well, and taking care of themselves, because that's also important. And then that committee is also now looking at what are those wellness-based programs we need to be doing for students that go beyond the classroom. So there's definitely a push in that direction of wanting to provide some balance for kids, and understanding that stress and anxiety are a part of a lot of students' lives, and how do we try to create some of that balance. There's been definitely a push with the mindfulness education throughout district, and trying to infuse practices of mindfulness in the classroom, and being able to give kids an opportunity to see that sitting still and learning how to breathe and recognizing how they feel stressed within their bodies is really important in terms of them being able to take some control over their stress and anxiety that they're feeling. Yeah, I think prevention is just an ongoing thing, and it absolutely has to occur. We need to be continuing to look at preventative ways to help students, and to make sure that they have a better way of coping with stress and anxiety, but also that they know that there's support for them. That's really important, that kids need to understand that there is support, and not to be afraid to ask for it. That often becomes the big barrier, is that students may be struggling, but they don't feel that it's okay to ask for help, and they often turn to their peers, and their peers may or may not be helpful in getting them the support that they need. But oftentimes I think kids internalize it and keep it private and struggle on their own, when the reality is that there are services and there is support for them, but they have to say something. And so a big piece of prevention has to be, how do we get kids, how do we pull them in, how do we make it safe for them to ask for help?